and have an electric chair put up on it. Because you see, when you belong to Islam, and you know what, it's just different. When you belong to Islam and you look at the symbol that represents Islam, it's a beautiful quarter moon. And man, it's a crescent that is beautiful, that people want to walk. And that's beautiful. I like it. But you know what? Has no value, has no significance, and it has no substance to it. When you look today at other religions, they have beautiful flowers and all of those things. When you look today at some of the more modern religions, and matter of fact, let me just give you just one today. When you look at those Buddhism, and you look at that very beautiful lotus flower, of how beautiful it is, and you say, man, that's a beautiful, man, I don't know if you've ever smelled one or not, but man, the fragrance is unbelievable. Can you imagine what the old rugged cross smelled like? Can you just even in your imagination? But when we look at the cross today, we look at it as what? A beautiful thing. But you know what? The cross for me and you is not a beautiful thing. When you stop and think of Christianity, and that's a symbol for Christianity, universal. No matter where you go, when they see that cross, it represents Christianity. And you know what? It represents a man that was willing to die for me and you. I thought about this, and I just run through and looked up some stuff, and I just thought of this. Wouldn't it be cool if, rather than I started wearing little cross lapel pins, wouldn't this be cool, Kevin, if I started wearing little electric chairs? Wouldn't it be really cool, rather than suspending a cross from the steeple, we suspended a hangman's noose? Wouldn't it be cool, rather in our homes, rather than having a cross and having Jesus by the cross, or Jesus having anywhere near the cross, if we had an open firing squad? What would be the difference? Yet, you know, we never think about the gallows today representing death. And you know, the cross is the symbol of our faith. And I think we've got to go further than just the cross itself. Because, see, there's people today that will not pray unless they do the crucifixion. And they won't honor the priest unless the priest does it back to them. And you know, so many times in our lives, I think we have all of this symbolic stuff. I think we even today have placed the cross in many places. But I'm not certain, and the only one can answer this question tonight. Have we forgotten what the cross really meant? And you know, it's easy to say, oh no, I would never forget. Be careful now. Because the old saying is this: out of sight, out of mind. When we take the bloody, flesh-torn man, and we don't see that on a regular basis, and we see a symbolic symbol of gold, we see a wooden symbolic symbol of the cross, wouldn't it be kind of easy to forget, oh, man loved me enough that he laid down on that cross, a beaten man, a worn-out man, and gave his life for me, only because he loved me. I think we should never forget the cross. I think we should never forget the cross and what it represents. I think we should never forget the cross, and we were to have it close to us. But when we look at the cross and we look at it, we're to look at it what it really means. Because see, for a young man named Simon that day, when Jesus was walking down the road and could no longer carry the cross, he picked up part of his cross and he carried it for him. And Jesus said, the best I can remember, for me to do this. I don't know if you've ever read this part of the text or not, but Jesus said, take up your cross follow me. You know, he knew Simon was going to be there. And you know what? He knows me and you're going to be there every day of our lives. There's not a day in your lifetime that has slipped by outside of Jesus. There's not a day that slipped by outside of God. There's not going to be an incident happen in your life that God doesn't already know. Just as he knew Simon one day would be walking down the road the same day that his son would walk down the road, and that one day he would have to pick up part of that cross and carry it. Can you imagine what Simon thought of when he was not given a choice? Nobody asked Simon, said, Simon, would you like to be a Christian today? Would you please pick up the cross and would you carry it? His life was placed upon the line and commanded and demanded to carry the cross. And Jesus tells me and you, take up your cross. Now, what is your cross? What is it? That we never, never, ever forget the love that was on the cross. Because you see, in the midst of all of life's turmoil, in the midst of all of life's chaos, sometimes we can get aggravated. Sometimes we can get frustrated. Sometimes even little children, we want to pinch their heads off. I watched a little boy a while ago, and then finally I could watch no longer, and before I knew it, the wrath of the hand of the Christwell reached out to him. I said, there's no little boy in the world could go to the bathroom that much. If you move again, I will rip your head off. Guess what? He never moved another muscle. You know, if me and you're not careful, listen to me, in the midst of life, in the midst of tomorrow, in the midst of tonight, if me and you're not really careful, we'll forget what that cross represents. Because see, it had two beams, and I don't want you to forget them tonight, okay? It had one vertical and it had one horizontal. And I want you to realize tonight that so many times we can spurt off this verse, and I'm going to do it for you tonight, or I'm going to try to if I don't forget part of it. But you know what? If we're not careful, even that becomes as pretty and sweet as the cross. Ready? For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. Oh boy, that's easy, ain't it? But do you understand that verse? That verse means this, that there was a man named God that loved the world enough that when he looked out on the sinful condition of the world, that he loved it enough that he was really willing to reach down and love every person, black or white, green or yellow, red or blue, it did not matter. He loved them all. And you know what that love is supposed to do? That love is supposed to penetrate and permeate my life. And when that love does that and God reaches down and he penetrates my heart and I'm his child and I pick up that cross daily, that means whenever I see somebody, as Jesus stretched out his hands, then I'm willing to stretch out my hands and I'm willing to love them. Listen, I'm willing to love them right where they are. I had a person the other day, and just really, I had to go handle them. They just, people mess with me. And made a statement like this, so I'm going to go ahead and tell you the statement now. I might not should, now that I look around the crowd. I'll make it Thursday. You remind me, and I'll make it Thursday. Because this, I think there's a group of people in our world, and anytime there's a group of people in our world, and we say that we dislike them, or we say that we hate them, we have sinned. I promise you. I will elaborate more because, see, I'm convinced of this. There's not a person, there's not a group of people on the foundation of the world that God did not allow his Son to die on the cross for. Everybody, Jesus died for them. I don't care if they're black or white or Chinese or what they are, Jesus died for them on that old rugged cross. And to say that God doesn't love them is a lie from hell. There's sin in my life that God does not like. There's sin in all never stopped loving him.
Amen.
And he was always there. And it's my job and your job to be like God was. Because see, when Jesus hung on that cross, he didn't look at it just some and say, I love you. He looked at all of the world. He said, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son. The other beam is to represent God's holiness and God's purity. Because, see, I think this,